Hello and welcome. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. Last call. Well, no, it's not 1 o'clock in the morning. As I'm doing this, it's actually 1600 hours and 25 minutes or 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. But I'm saying 1 o'clock last call. Because back in the days when I used to go to the bar, at 1 o'clock, this is the last chance you have to buy alcohol. Because after that, not like this anymore, no. And I'm saying last call is in. It does seem to me, at least within the gold, silver, Bitcoin markets, we could be, and that's really the key word, could be, and I think favored, because I'm saying it, of course, at the stage where the opportunities to be buying at these lower prices, I think, is not that you don't have much time. And I don't usually say that on here, and it's unfortunate that I am because I was so convinced a half a year ago that it's going to be at least until 2021, 22 even, 22 even, before we see the start of this next great depression, great monetary reset, transfer of wealth, or whatever other terms you want to use. But unfortunately, it does seem as if that time is going to be coming earlier. Within technical analysis of Bitcoin, we'll do multiple time frames, all trades, bets of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. Okay, as we have it, we've had this incredible fall that happened. And Bitcoin, from its entire run, has been known for having these fast moves on multiple different time frames. We can see it here. We're going to talk about it in the short term within the most recent down move that happened just a few days ago and how it's recovering from such there. But that is the way the Bitcoin markets work, and it's been declared dead. I don't know how many times, and it just keeps on living or keeps on recovering from being dead. So it'll die a few more times and then so on and so forth, I would presume. I'm going to be talking with Fibonacci, but I don't need to really calculate from this high to this low because it's pretty much retraced 100% almost. This low is marginally lower than this particular previous high. It also means that when it came up to these 61.8%, it said, we're not stopping. This is a failed move, because that's what I like to use. When I see from a key level and it retraces and it's able to suffice and get past convincingly that 61.8, that's a key level you're usually going to make it to the next key move, and especially if you got good bullish momentum in time frames before then, which we'll take a look at the answers, looking pretty good, then there's a good chance, of course, that you would break above that level. We can see on the daily chart, as we broke above this level of resistance, it got past about 9,080, but the bigger resistance at 9,430. And it had this little bit of a move. And when you see this in technical analysis and you see the fall, it's one of two key things, like every single time. And that is you can almost make the box almost looks the same every time. It's just that little noticeable break above, doesn't have much time in there, and it quickly retraces back a decent amount like such. And if you see it support like we have within something like the 18 average of lows, and then it starts to break out above it, and it's looking close to doing this right now, well, that's telling you that the move is real, the correction's in play, and we're ready for this next leg higher. Because this wasn't a concise break move. And if we have this move up here, we'd probably next test these layers of previous highs, which would be towards the 2019 highs and not, of course, the 2020 highs. And then breaking above these highs, so we're going to be looking at this on multiple time frames. So we're going to go longer term. Then we're going to take a look at this on the shorter term in a bit. And it's looking very positive. At least it's going to go up another 100 on the short term, but we'll get to that in a bit. On the weekly term, let's just draw a little line in here. That's something I like to do at times. So you're in a situation where you have a key high. That key high is a $20,000 one from the end of 2017. This long correction because it took about a year for it to hit its low. Going from 20, almost 20, to a little over 3. But what's been very impressive is a retracement from this low to this high. And how it's managed to have a good run. In a bearish level, this is a failed move, especially this move in particular here. That means somewhere within this resistance realm, or this would be a resistance realm from where we were in here. But it didn't resist in this area. Rather, it's been supporting it instead. That's been a good sign. And especially within this last move, which is showing us this failed breakdown in here. It's really got to make a clear, concise move above the 18 average of highs, and it's looking pretty decent because 2 periods prior to the current is when it got above it. Nice little pause one the previous week, and it's doing so far so good. The momentum showing above here looks very probable that, again, a test of these previous highs would be the next one in order. Within the monthly term, we have, well, this is the entire run in here, higher highs and higher lows, and there has been very limited action below the 18 average of lows during the 2015 area in here. And then this most recent low breaking down below 6,000. Just this, and this last small pierce low of the Rudy Gobert incident. That's, of course, when, and I'll make names for different situations. That's the one when he tested positive for the current situation, and that stopped professional sports in North America, and we still are waiting for them to come back. Thankfully, Korean baseball is playing right now for me. Anyway, throwing that part aside, that's the only action below the 18 average of lows right now. Above it, the 18 average of highs, well, this entire run was spectacular. It attempted to get above here, and it was successful. And it was so successful that it spent the entire run above it. And then the attempt in here to have a quick run, but no, it's been spending this entire time in correctionary phase. And correctionary phase started last September. And it stays within it. So as long as it's within this area of this resistance, which is around 98, 9600, which is pretty much our ballpark resistance now, and the support is around low 6,000, which coincides with, of course, the previous support in here. And then you can almost call this stuff like a head and shoulders, inverted style, because you can almost take this is like S left shoulder in here, S the head and the right shoulder part in here. But it's all about the pattern recognition and the situation of having this move in this style of correction that on the inevitable, and I do think inevitable break of this resistance, that like we see, like I stayed here, spending all this action above the 18 average of highs. Wouldn't surprise me if a similar event were to occur when it has its next attempt breaking out above it. So then, I mentioned short-term analysis as well. Let's cover that. So again, back on the daily term, the attempt is to get above the 18 average of highs. And I think there's only one time frame I really need to show, and that's the single hour. It really says a lot. And I've already pre-calculated Fibonacci, and I've already deleted the calculation, so I'm going to recalculate it again, because, anyway. So we take this high, which is 10,050-ish or so. So I'm going to bring up my number. So I'm going to take that, how I calculate it is the highest number, which is 10,050, and I divide it by the lowest. So in here, I can see that this low comes in at about 8278 ballpark. And it really doesn't matter what number in the area I use for, it's all in the area numbers anyway. So I divide that number by, so I divide 10,000 by the 82 and change, put it to the square roots of the numbers you will see below, and I multiply that by the low again of 8278. The up target is 1.618 or 161.8%, and the down target is negative 0.618. So the key numbers I'm looking at are the 38.2 and 61.8% retracement. So getting above this, holding and staying above 93.32 is telling me that the sell-off that happened just a few days would be a failure. Well, let's take a look at the 89 number first and see the legitimacy of that. And it's 89 low when we see it 89.15. So then, let's put a line in that ballpark area and started from this level here. And that's what I like to do when I put the lines. I started from where the low happens to be, because I can see that this is the first retracement that it had, which of course is a Fibonacci hit. And okay, so I suppose it had some significance to it. And when I say some, I mean a lot. So here we have recently on today's session, 7 o'clock in the morning, breaking out from this previous level of resistance and as well from the 18 average of highs, and it's done one leg higher, correctionary move, and we're having right now in this current hour a second leg higher. The next key level is the 61.8%, where we should enable or should see some sort of resistance. 93.32. So let's put a line up at that area here. Okay. Well, and it usually pierces extra, so I'll just move it down just a bit. There we go. So that's 6 points higher. Normally, and I guess I will be showing shorter term analysis. I didn't plan on it, but normally these things pierce extra, and right now it's pierced less. Yeah, less if this is a top. But most likely, when you see this, this leg higher isn't over yet. So if you're looking at this on the shorter term time frame, and you're thinking, oh, should I sell here for this move? I would say no. I'd be putting a sell order on a pierce above. I'd be like, okay, 93.67 or something, and see how it goes. Because more times than not, they do happen to, again, go extra above these lines. And why Fibonacci works as well over and over, I don't know. I mean, I always say piercing extra on the moves because I just see it that way. I can't tell you why it does it. I just see that it does it. So, most likely again, and then if you encounter resistance in this area, then how are you going to resist this? Are we going to come back to 89? Oh, we could. And what's one of the very common things? Hit, come back, and then if it comes back and goes to it again, you're like, oh my goodness, now what do we do? Because you might not resist it for that much of a move. You could easily break it. But regardless if it does something like that of any sort of resistance, or if it decides not to, if you do not find support or resistance at heavily areas where you're supposed to, ooh boy, we're talking resistance lines being broken. We're talking large size candles or large size green candles in an up move. So you'd have a situation of the resistance of this uptrend line being taken out. You'd have a large size green candle. So this move here is 1%. This is 0.88. You'd be looking at 2, 3, 4% hours. Maybe an hour that's worth 2 or 3 or 4% up. Significantly higher than before. And really a fast, concise move to next key level. And I can give you two of them. Previous high in the 76.4. The 76.4 is 9,600. Then again at 10,000. Short-term analysis and such. As far as upside and downside targets, do I really feel like doing it? Let's see if I can quickly see it. If the answer is then, I'll say yes. Alrighty, what do we see here? This high. I'm doing this on the fly here, trying to think of. And there's really no point. It's previous high in here. I mean, there's really no point in me doing it there. No. And then previous high to that previous high, and then previous high to uncharted territories. Those are the next key levels. And again, that's why I did the intro to this last call. It's almost, I've been thinking about that song, like, where it is like the last call. You got to leave. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. And I'm thinking, no, let's do it. I could think of a parody for something like that. For me, and this is the last chance you have to get gold, silver, cryptos. These things I think are just going to fly and just keep on going pretty damn soon. And I wasn't hoping that 2019, no. And what I was hoping, and that was silver prices and gold prices would not go out of control. Meaning, not going like over 40, 50 bucks silver, not going over 3,000 gold, stuff like that, 2,800 gold. And then cryptocurrencies having an original move, having hopefully up and down choppy, because I want the up and down moves. I'm the type of person playing, oh, DGB, go down, Theta. I hope Theta goes up. I don't mind you doubling, but I don't mind you losing 30% for a quick move down either, because I like down moves and up moves. I like big moves up and down as a trader. And then get those moves, accumulate the gold and silver, and then after that, all this type of stuff of it going higher to come into play. So, and another reason I'm saying this is, you're like, okay, if I was a quote-unquote financial advisor, and I'm not, but I'm just saying if I was, last year I'm like, you don't have to hesitate, or no, you don't have to rush or panic into putting your assets into precious metals and cryptos, as you probably have a lot of significant amount of time. Now, of course, if something comes up later, I can let you know differently. Well, something has came up. It's called the current situation. Yeah, you might have heard about it. Well, now I believe, unfortunately, that things are going to be worse than they are before, which means inflation might not be as good. And then, of course, we got supply chain issues that are going to cause economic situations, and then the shutdown of so many sectors, the situation of a more fiat currency chasing less items. Again, I think that's going to be bullish for cryptocurrencies and precious metals in the short term as well. And these are things, if you look back at my channels back in 2019, 18, 17, stuff like that, and you can pretty much tell I'm just yada yada talking about the markets and like, I mean, there's just no sign. Gold and silver was just doing all this yada stuff. And back in 2016, I was just fascinated by Bitcoin. For back then, it was, and I'm just going to go back to it and show you the type of stuff I was looking at. I was fascinated about the small movements that it was having, the low volatility. And in here in 2016, I know they have all these weird lines, so you can kind of ignore them to a degree, just how the prices are in a low volatile move, like 469 down to 443. It was almost like this was a stock market index. And then this happened in May. It just had a nice little move, and albeit it was holding it. Okay, here we are. This is another time when Bitcoin died. It's died a few times, as I mentioned, and it's holding up, and I was extremely impressed by this. And this is when I was really starting to get this whole serious part about this. Okay, what's this whole Bitcoin thing might actually be something to take serious. And the only, I almost have to thank silvergoldbull.ca to a degree, and stayed in having on their website. Oh, you can like assign like the buttons to buy with, like PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Bitcoin. Oh, really? So if I ever happen to get Bitcoin, I'm thinking back when I have none, at least I can liquidate it pretty damn easy. And that's the whole point of it. I can liquidate it pretty damn easy, and I can still liquidate it damn easy today. In fact, easier than all the other ones, including even definitely precious metals right now, but fiat currency, very easy. I know I've heard people talk about, oh, you can't buy food, you can't buy groceries, you can't do this and that with it. Okay, you just have to figure it out, I suppose. Buying groceries, buying your gas, buying restaurant items, if you could go to hotels. I don't want to say go to hotels, but it might be a little bit before you can do that right now. It should be soon. I believe majorly in Austrian economics. My whole point of life, I believe highly in free markets and the free market of life even, and I believe in freedom in the sense that everyone's got the free will to do anything in wish that they desire, as long as it doesn't do any unwanted harm to anyone. And I feel strongly about those beliefs. And unfortunately, it does seem as if, as we are in our modern day times, the term known as liberties that people have referred to are being, they're under attack. I hate to use the word under attack, but maybe that might be the best term, since I'm trying, lack of better terms, that's a better way to put it, literally. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.